1. The play opens up in the Hotel de Bourgogne. Everyone is setting up for a play. There are pages and gamblers and a thief. One group brought a hook and a string to fish people's wigs from the balcony. Cuigy, Brissaille, Ligniere, Bret, Rageuneau, and Christian walk in. Ligniere is an alcoholic and a poet, and he introduces Christian. Christian is from up north in Normandy, and he's only been in Paris for 3 weeks. He's going to join the Gascon guards the next day. Ligniere wants to leave to head out to a pub, but Christian wants him to stay so he can learn the name of a lady he fell in love with. We meet Regano, who's a baker. He exchanges his pastries for poetry because he is a great lover of the arts. Rageuneau asks if Cyrano is there. Ligniere says he isn't and asks why. Rageuneau says because the actor Montfleury is in the play. Cyrano has forbade Montfleury from acting for a month. Cyrano is a poet, a swordsman, a musician, a scientist, but he has one flaw. It's that his nose is way too big. But if anyone stares too long, he'll run them through with a sword. All of a sudden, a lady enters, and it's the woman who Christian loves, Roxane. Roxane is also a cousin of Cyrano. Christian also finds out that there is a Count, de Guiche, and he is also in love with Roxane. However, the Count is married, so he will use another man, Valvert, to marry Roxane so that the Count can have access to her. Ligniere finally leaves to go to a bar. Christian catches a thief, and in order to be let go, the thief tells Christian that Ligniere is going to be assassinated by 100 men that night for writing a poem about a rich guy. Christian leaves to save Ligniere. Finally, the play starts, and Montfleury starts his lines. But as he starts, a big voice from the back tells him to get off the stage. That voice is Cyrano. He gives Montfleury to the count of 3 to leave. Montfleury runs away, and they have to cancel the play. The crowd asks why Cyrano hates Montfleury so much, and Cyrano says for 2 reasons. 1, he's a terrible actor, and 2, it's a personal one. The crowd gets very upset because they paid for tickets. Cyrano throws his pouch full of coins and gives it to the manager Jodelet. The audience then leaves. As people leave, an audience member asks if Cyrano has a patron for protection. Cyrano says no, then asks why the audience member is looking at his nose. The audience member says he isn't, and Cyrano starts antagonizing him and threatens him. The audience member says he wasn't looking, that his nose is quite small, and then Cyrano gets really mad, saying how dare he accuse him of something so ridiculous. He then kicks the audience member away. At this point, Valvert comes forward and says someone must teach him a lesson. Remember, Valvert is the guy de Guiche wants to use to get to Roxane. Anyway, Valvert walks straight up to Cyrano and says, "Your nose is, very, big." Cyrano kinda looks at him and tells Valvert he could have said anything. He then goes into a big list of different kinds of jokes he could have said about his nose. It has such gems as, "What a kind man you are. You love birds so much that you've even given them a perch to sit on. When it bleeds, it must be like the Red Sea." And, "Is that monument open to the public?" Cyrano and Valvert begin to duel, but before they begin, Cyrano says he will compose a poem during the fight and then win the duel at the end of the poem. They start fighting, and the whole time Cyrano is making up verses to a poem out loud. With each verse, he says, "When I end the refrain, I draw blood." At the end of the poem, he promptly stabs Valvert, and Valvert is dragged away. Everyone applauds Cyrano, and Cyrano is left alone with his friend Bret. Bret finds out that the money Cyrano gave was the last of his month's salary. Bret asks what's going on with Cyrano after they argue about patronage, and he admits that he's in love. Turns out Montfleury made a pass at Roxane, and it's Roxane who Cyrano loves. At that moment, the duenna comes in and asks that Cyrano meet Roxane tomorrow. They agree to meet at Regano's pastry shop. Cyrano gets super excited because Roxane saw him defeat Valvert, and now she wants to see him privately. At that moment, Ligniere comes back with Cuigy and Brissaille and asks to stay with Cyrano because 100 men are waiting to jump him. Cyrano says nonsense, that he will fight them all because he's happy about Roxane. He wants to fight 100 men. So they go out into Paris with actors and musicians following Cyrano to attack the thieves.